I recently interviewed Jason Williams, the basketball player. Do you know about Jason's story? He accidentally
the one
killed
got
his...
hit in a car wreck. Me on a motorcycle.
Nah. Jason Williams ended up accidentally killing his limo driver with a shotgun. Well, okay, basically the story was he was playing for the Nets. He had like a $90 million contract, and then him and Stephon Marbury ended up colliding into each other. His leg got broken in two places, and then that was the end of his career. But he walked away with all that money. You know how basketball contracts do. So, he was doing his thing, and he always kind of had a thing about playing with guns. And one day he had a bunch of people over his house, including this limo driver, and he was like showing people a shotgun, and the gun accidentally went off, killed the limo driver right then and there. And then he tried to cover it up, and then he got caught, and he ended up doing a couple of years in prison for that. What he told me that was kind of interesting that I never knew, because me myself, I'm not a felon. You have felonies on your record?
Yeah, I got a couple fellas. Yeah.
Okay. What he explained to me that I never knew, he said he got out of prison and he had to live in a hotel room because nobody would rent an apartment to him as a convicted felon.
It's some things that we need to work on is because, look, man, when I came out of prison and all those few good things that you said about me, I still could not get a place to stay, right? Because I was a convicted felon. So I don't know if you know that I had to live in a hotel while I was doing my parole. And I had, because when you are a convicted felon, I went to apply at this building and said, denied. I didn't know that. I was like, wow, I'm denied. Why? I said, my credit's good, my money's good. Why? And they're like, you just denied. So I went to another building, and then another building. And then I went to the Yale Club and gave a speech. And the lady came up to me at the end. She goes, yeah, I own those buildings, and I'm the one denying you. True story, right? And it's the Ratner Group. And she said the HOA, Homeowners Association, or the tenant groups didn't want a convicted felon in there. And if you're a convicted felon, you can't.
Yeah, of course. When you come home from jail, you don't come home with opportunities like that. You might get a job as a cook. Once you fill out your application, most times you should lie on it. That's what I advise people. You should lie on it. Because even when you do get hired, you looked at a certain way. By you been to penitentiary. It's a setup. I just feel it's a setup. It's a setup for destruction because, once prison is supposed to be rehabilitation. We done committed a crime. If we're really rehabilitated, why we're not allowed to have guns? If we're rehabilitated, if you didn't why we are not allowed to have guns? We need them better than anybody. We need them better than anybody, and you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. So really, I got 80% of my foot in the door, out the door in prison, and 20% of my foot in the door. Because you got me, it's like a box, man. It's like a box. It's like a box they keep you in, bro. Knowing you done been through all this, you done been on the news, your life in danger. You know what I'm saying? You're not even allowed to have a firearm.
Well, I interviewed Trey D, and we talked about this, who's a felon as well. And the way he described it, I never heard it before.
And the ones they feel will disrespect them and still keep the firearm, they know now, them the ones to pull over.
Well, Trey D, he said that when it comes to prison, you don't just do your time and you're even. He described it as forever punishment. Yeah, but it just kind of goes to show that the point of prison is supposed to be rehabilitation.
It's not. It's not.
It's
forever punishment.
Forever punishment.
Yeah, it is.
Would that be accurate from your point of view?
Yeah, bro. It lasts with you forever. You know, you lose so much too. You're gonna lose a lot of your friends. You know, it's forever punishment. A lot of people gonna die on you, bro. 4 years, so many people gonna die on you. It's forever punishment.
Right, because if you really think about it, right? Okay, you did a crime, but you got caught. You didn't get away with it. You got caught, you get sentenced, you go and you sit in a cage in horrible conditions for a long period of time, you come out. You should be even. But instead, you're now in a situation where you can't get an apartment because you're a felon.
Right.
You can't get a job because you're a felon.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen when you put a person in that situation once they get out? They're probably going to start committing more crimes in order just to survive, right?
Right. Because you're not a
And then-
model. It's bullshit if the world think when you come out of jail you're a model citizen. It's bullshit. Your mind can be rehabilitated. You can be a man who can help society. The people who look at you, mine is not rehabilitated. You know, all the people, you know, once you go to prison, you gotta understand, billions of people never been to prison. So they look at the movies. And they look at you and they picture one of them characters on a motherfucking movie. You know, so they think all prison is like what they, cause that's the only time they ever saw it on the movie. You know, you a big motherfucker. They thinking on Get Out, me on that movie, not what that movie. Forgot that movie when that dude got fucked. They think you one of them dudes who fucking boys in there. You know, prison is in people's mind from television, and it made a lot of bad character for inmates coming home. You know, they actually feel like ain't too many good people in prison when they got some real good people in prison and a lot of innocent too.
Yeah. Me personally, I feel like that should not even be legal, because think about it. If you apply for an apartment and they turn you down and they say, well, the reason I'm turning you down is because you're black and I don't like black people, or you're Muslim, I don't like Muslim people, well, then you could take that person to court and you could sue that person. But if a person says, I turned him down because he was a felon and I don't want criminals living in my building, there's nothing you could do about it. That's 100% legal.
That's 100% legal. You know, they gonna, you know, they will come back in 5 minutes and say we don't hire felons. You know, it's against our policy. You know, so most people go back to doing what they gotta do to feed themselves. You know, it's a trap, bro. They really want. You can't have a gun. So you go back to the same neighborhood or wherever you went to and have committed crime already. You know, so you have no gun. They know if they catch you with a gun, you're going back to jail. And if you don't have a gun, somebody else might kill you. So, you know, they play a cold game, man.
Right. And then on top of that, they tell you, like, let's just say you go to prison on a gang-related charge. They tell you once you get out that you can't affiliate yourself with gang members. But if your whole family lives in a certain neighborhood, they're all technically are looked at as gang members. So then you don't have a support system.
Yeah,
and
no,
then
Vlad, moral of the story, the world is fucked up. The world is fucked up, man. The world is fucked up. I don't like what I see. The world is fucked up, man.